Here's the first of two brand new theories coming up involving Brett Favre. The other one is going to be a multi-part series, and it's going to take quite a while before I get to it, so I'm going to stick with the first one right now, which is short. And that is, what if he stayed with the Packers? So what happened in our timeline, after the 2007 season, Favre retired and Aaron Rodgers became the new QB for the Packers. But right before the 2008 preseason, Favre decided to come back to be the Packers quarterback, but the Packers had no interest in him as they were stuck with Aaron Rodgers. Eventually, he was traded to the Jets. He would play a pretty disappointing season with them in 2008, retire before going on to play with the Vikings for the next 2 years. Meanwhile, Rodgers became the quarterback for the Packers for the next, all the way up since to now. So what would happen if the Packers decided to let Favre come back? Well, we're going to find out. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if? An NFL theory. So in this timeline, when Favre once came back to the Packers, this time they accept him with open arms and they automatically make him the starter. Now what would happen with Aaron Rodgers? Honestly, I think he would want to be traded because he sat behind Favre for 3 years waiting for his opportunity. Now here it comes, only for it to be taken away from him. And he probably doesn't want to sit around another year waiting to be his successor. And just like based upon an NFL theory that Dave Demeshek did back in 2011, which I believe was his first theory too, I'm going to stick with what he did in that theory too, and have him be traded to the Jets. So in 2008, with Favre coming back with the Packers, unfortunately for them, he would struggle pretty badly. He would have a worse statistical season than Aaron Rodgers did. But despite that though, in the games where the Packers needed to win already, like they did with Aaron Rodgers, they would still win, and the games that they lost would not make a difference. So they would still finish 6-10, just like they did in real life, just with a bad taste in their mouth thinking about what happened if they had Aaron Rodgers. Speaking of Rodgers, we didn't go check out the Jets, because remember in our timeline, the Jets start off 8-3 really surprisingly with Favre, especially his struggling year. But near the end of the year, final 5 games, they went 1-4, 9-7, missed the playoffs, and Favre had a terrible stretch during that time. But with Aaron Rodgers, who threw more touchdowns and less interceptions, the Jets go on a roll for the entire year and stun everyone by going 14-2, their best record in franchise history, really putting the shit in the Packers' mouths for trading him. So in the updated 2008 stands in the AFC, the Jets are now the #1 seed as the Titans fall to the 2nd seed and the Steelers move down to the 3rd seed. And in the NFC, nothing changes. So in the AFC side, the Chargers now visit the Jets instead, and the Jets would get their revenge from their Week 3 loss in real life as they beat the Chargers to make it to the AFC Championship, where they now host the Steelers. Wow, how about that? One of the league's #1 defenses going up against the Jets, who really look scary now with Aaron Rodgers. And remember, the Steelers, they had the #1 defense, but Big Ben in the offense was kind of mediocre. Meanwhile, the Jets, their defense wasn't as good, but it was still solid, and they have a much better offense now with Aaron Rodgers. Plus, they're at home, and the Steelers just barely beat the Ravens in real life in the AFC Championship. And the Jets being a much better team now, I think the Jets would get the win, which sets up Super Bowl 43 as the Jets now play the Cardinals. And the game, I think, would largely go around about the same, and the Jets would get the win, and just like they did in real life in Week 4 against the Cardinals, and win their first Super Bowl since 1968. Man, how about eating a whole bunch of crow there, Packers, for that trade already? So, going into the 2008 offseason, we have 3 things to think about. First off, the Packers. Would Favre retire again, just like he did in real life, and go with the Vikings? For this theory, I'm going to have him stay with the Packers for the rest of his career to see how it would finish out. So then that brings up the next question. What would happen with the Jets, since they don't need Mark Sanchez now, since the Jets got him? I decided to have him be drafted by the Browns, who had the chance to get him, but they traded their pick away to the Jets, remember? And then what happens with the Vikings, since they don't have Farve anymore going into the preseason? I think they're going to stick with their original plans before Farve came in and stick with Tavares Jackson. So in the 2009 season, Brett Favre would have his best, probably one of his best seasons in his career. And the Packers, especially now that the Vikings are not in the way, the Packers play much better as they go 13-3 and rebound big in the NFC. Meanwhile, the Jets, oh my God, this I cannot believe. This might sound crazy, but when I compared Rodgers to Mark Sanchez, this is it's not really that hard to believe. The Jets in real life, they went 9-7. They had the #1 offense in the league, but their defense, but their offense was terrible. Mark Sanchez threw more interceptions and touchdowns, for God's sake. Now, meanwhile, if you put Aaron Rodgers in his place, who put up over 30 touchdowns, just 7 picks, it is a massive difference. The Jets now have become one of the most scariest teams in the league with the #1 defense and a very explosive quarterback who could maybe give them like one of the best offense in the league. I kid you not. Based upon how Aaron Rodgers played in the games the Jets lost, the Jets, unbelievably, would go 16-0 in this scenario. The 2009 Jets go 16-0. I couldn't believe myself, but when I put Rodgers' stats in Sanchez's place, it was just too... Oh my goodness. And the Jets go 16-10. That is just crazy. Meanwhile, for the Browns, Mark Sanchez would be terrible, but despite that, he actually still played significantly better than all the other quarterbacks the Browns played that year. So despite that, the Browns actually improved to 7-9, giving them some hope going into 2010. Meanwhile, the Vikings, without Farve, they struggled to 8-8, as they're still wondering what's the future with Tavares Jackson. So in the 2009 playoffs, in the AFC, the Jets have the #1 seed as the Colts fall #2, the Chargers fall to 3, the Ravens move up to 4, the Texans make the playoffs for the first time as a 5th seed, and the Patriots fall all the way down to the 6th seed. And in the NFC, the Packers are the #1 seed as the Saints fall to the 2nd seed, and the Falcons make the playoffs as the 6th seed, along with the Eagles moving up to the 5th seed. So we're going to start off in the NFC side as the Packers host the Cardinals, this time in the divisional round, because remember in the wild card round, the Packers visited the Cardinals, and it was that wild offensive shootout that the Cardinals would win in overtime 51-45 because they forced a fumble sack from Aaron Rodgers. Now they're playing against Farve in this game, and the game would be an offensive shootout just like it was in the wild card round, but there's one big difference. In the divisional round real life, Farve did not throw an interception that game, whereas Aaron Rodgers did, and that gave the Cardinals a touchdown. Without that touchdown, the game isn't tied. The Packers would go on to win it 45-38 to move on to the NFC Championship, where they now host the Saints. How about that? Favre go up against the Saints again, this time at home as the Packers, and now at home too, with the much better defense than the Vikings have. The Packers beat the Saints as they make it back to the Super Bowl for the first time since 1997. Meanwhile, in the AFC side, as the Ravens now visit the Jets, but of course, with the much better quarterback, the Jets easily crushed the Ravens like the Colts did in real life. Speaking of the Colts, the Jets now host the Colts in the AFC Championship. Now remember, the Jets visited the Colts in the real life AFC Championship that year. They led 17, I think it was 17-6 going into halftime or something like that, but then the Colts went on to score all unanswered points to win at 30-17. But not at home. Now when they're the away team, and more importantly, with Aaron Rodgers replacing Sanchez, the Jets stomped the Colts as they make it back to the Super Bowl for a 2nd year in a row. So how about that? Super Bowl 44. The Jets and the Packers. Aaron Rodgers versus Brett Favre. Aaron Rodgers looking forward to getting his revenge against the Packers for trading him, and Favre as well for taking his job away. As this would be one hell of a game. But I think in the end, although they're both very good teams, very good quarterbacks, very good offenses, very good defenses, the Jets had the #1 defense in the league. Although the Packers were not that far behind, I think that will probably be the deciding factor for it. And I think the Jets would hold on to beat the Packers in an incredible game to win back-to-back Super Bowls and do what the 2007 Patriots couldn't do and go 19-0. Man, 2 years in and the Packers are eating a shit ton of crow now. So now in the 2010 season, as the Jets are trying to once again three-peat now, Unfortunately for them, the team has suffered a little bit of a setback as Aaron Rodgers did not play as good as he did last year, and he suffered his concussion in the middle of the year. So the Jets ended up finishing 11-5 just like they did in real life. Meanwhile, for the Brett Favre Packers, his collapse really set the Packers in a tailspin as they finished 6-10 in a disappointing year. Meanwhile, Mark Sanchez played a lot better, especially compared to the Browns quarterbacks, so they actually improved once again to 8-8, their first non-losing season since 2007. Meanwhile, the Vikings continue to struggle with Tavares Jackson, but despite that, they actually do one win better than they did in real life as they finished 7-9, but it's a one-game regression from previous year. So now in the 2010 playoff stands, the AFC, nothing changes, and the NFC, the Eagles move up to the 2nd seed as the Bears fall to the 2nd seed and the Giants make the playoffs as the 6th seed. So now with the Packers not in the playoffs, the NFC side is dramatically swung around, as in the wild card, the Seahawks would still beat the Saints, but now the Giants visit the Bears. I think the Bears would hold on to beat the Giants. So in the divisional round, the Seahawks now visit the Falcons, and after we saw what happened to the Falcons and their giant implosion, the Seahawks would put up just enough points to stun the Falcons, and the 7-9 Seahawks would make it to the NFC Championship as the Bears visit the Eagles. And the Bears beat the Eagles in real life, remember. And the Eagles were kind of in a little bit of a tailspin near the end of the year, and the Bears put up 35 points in the divisional round in real life. So I think the Bears would hold on as they play the Seahawks in the NFC Championship, which they easily win as they did in real life. So they make it back to the Super Bowl after 4 years. Now, in the AFC side, the Jets now visit the Chargers instead of the Colts. But, just like they did in real life, especially with Aaron Rodgers playing much better than Mark Sanchez, they still beat the Chargers. And since the Ravens beat the Colts as their 6th seed, they go to the Patriots as the Jets now visit the Steelers, their 2010 AFC Championship in the divisional round. And just like then, with Aaron Rodgers coming in, the Steelers cannot stop Aaron Rodgers as the Jets beat the Steelers this time around. And the AFC Championship is the Jets hosting the Ravens, the first ever playoff game at new MetLife Stadium. Now in real life, remember, the Ravens just beat the Jets 10-9 in the first Monday night game of the year. But now with Aaron Rodgers, who was playing much better than Sanchez at this point, it will be just enough as the Jets defy all the odds as a wildcard team as they make it 3 straight Super Bowl appearances, as it's now the Jets and the Bears in the Super Bowl. Now, of course, with the Jets, the Bears beat the Jets in real life in Week 16, but that was with Mark Sanchez. Now they have Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers, remember, went freaking off in the Super Bowl. He was the MVP in that game. Well, with, I think, the better team now with Aaron Rodgers on the Jets than the Bears, the Jets are going to do it again, beat the Bears, and freaking do it. They would repeat. Unbelievable. The Freers without Farve with Aaron Rodgers on the Jets, and he got him to the Super Bowl all 3 times and won it all. Which begs the question, man, the Packers are so lucky they didn't trade him in this real life, because they would have to eat so much crow for this one. My God. But hey, it's just a theory, an NFL theory. Thanks for watching. I honestly would maybe like to come back to this in the future to see how Aaron Rodgers would continue off the Jets, because, oh boy, there are several Jets teams over the next few years, including next year, when the Jets, although they went 8-8, can you imagine what they would do with Aaron Rodgers' MVP season? Oh boy, they're going to be scary as hell. But that's going to stop for right here. Now, the next Farve theory is going to take multiple episodes to do. And, of course, I have something big coming up very soon, so it's going to probably be a while before I do it. So, see you guys next time.